Penal Code Section 273.5 is the primary California law defining domestic violence. And it's sometimes called spousal battery, corporal injury on a spouse, spousal abuse. And basically it applies in situations where you inflict some sort of bodily injury on a current or former spouse, cohabitant, or the parent of your child. So basically, if the alleged victim is someone that you're dating, but you've never lived with and don't and were never married to and don't have any children with, then it doesn't apply. So it's current or former spouse, cohabitant, or the parent of your child. And infliction of bodily injury means that there's some sort of visible, verifiable injury. Now that could be a very serious injury like a broken bone or a contusion or a black eye. Sometimes it can be a relatively minor injury like simply a red mark or a scratch or a welt. When police respond to a domestic violence call, they will always take photographs of any injuries that they observe. And they send these photographs to the district attorney's office along with a report. And the DA considers this in deciding what charges to file. And if the case ever goes to court and goes to trial, the DA will present these pictures to a jury to try to prove the crime. Now, Penal Code Section 273.5 is a wobbler. That means it could be filed as either a misdemeanor or a felony, depending on the circumstances. And as a felony, it can carry up to 4 years in state prison, and sometimes more if there's a real serious injury involved. If you're convicted of domestic violence under 273.5, in addition to probation and jail and possible prison, you'll have to do a 52-week domestic violence class where you go once a week for a year. And perhaps the worst repercussion of a domestic violence conviction is having it on your permanent record. Because an employer, when they do a background check, sees a domestic violence conviction, it really is a red flag because the employer will think, is this person violent? Are they temperamental? Are they dangerous? Are they a liability to have here in the workplace? And as hard as it is in this economy to get a job at all, if you have this on your record, it can be exponentially harder. So to the extent that you got arrested for domestic violence and you're facing the charge, you want to do everything that you can now to keep it off your record, to fight your case and beat your case. And that's where we come in. The good news is, here at Shouse Law Group, we've had a great record of success over the years in fighting these cases and getting domestic violence charges reduced or dismissed. And we find that domestic violence is one of those crimes where lots of innocent people get wrongly accused. And that happens for a number of reasons. First of all, we find a lot of times our client acted in righteous self-defense. So maybe our client did inflict some sort of injury, minor injury on his wife, for example, but she came at him and was punching him and wailing on him, and he was literally trying to get her away and protect himself. And he has an absolute right to defend himself in that situation. Also, we find a lot of times that the injury occurred as a result of an accident. So there was a heated argument and there was some shoving going on and some arms flailing around and, somebody fell, somebody got hit. But it really wasn't a situation where our client was trying to strike the other person, but it occurred as a result of an accident. And we also see a lot of situations where literally a person will inflict injuries on themselves and point the finger at the other person. A lot of these cases arise in a very volatile time in a relationship where a couple is about to break up, they're about to move out, they're about to get a divorce, and one side wants to get the upper hand in child custody or divorce proceedings, or one side is very angry and bitter and wants to get the other person. So they make up false accusations and then they put together false evidence in order to get the other person arrested, in order to get the other person in trouble. And unfortunately, when the cops respond to a domestic violence call, they tend to do a very poor investigation. They tend to rush to judgment. They tend to either automatically arrest the man or to assume that the person who called the police must be the victim, when in reality the story may be much more complicated. when in reality the person who they brand as the victim may have been the aggressor who started it, and really the wrong person gets arrested. We see that all the time. And here at Shouse Law Group, we have a team of former prosecutors, former police officers who used to investigate and prosecute domestic violence cases. And now, of course, our job is to defend people in this situation. If you've been arrested, if you've been charged, if you have a pending case, we implore you, don't go to court and simply plead guilty and take the consequences of this. Come and talk to us, sit down, tell us the whole story. We may be able to go to court and present your side of it and ultimately get your charges reduced or dismissed.